Sometimes there becomes attorneys.
This is a speaker card if you want to speak, and this is just a regular sign-in sheet.
Just so that you know that I'm here.
No, actually outside of
The expansion is necessary.
How's it going?
And I'm really concerned about several matters. One is about the waste of having actually a sound structure that really could be used as it is. The fact that we're going to eventually have to pay for this expansion, higher prices. That Safeway hasn't done a good job of marketing the organic produce as it has already. And that there's really, I don't like this thing of having stores so big that you never have to interact or touch anybody else. You know, it's a good time to exercise a little patience, chat with your neighbors, even look at some of the trashy tabloids that they have there. So I don't see the need to have this thing any bigger.
Let me see if okay, so a lot of you, so let me give the ground rules.
Thanks.
The ground rules that we use are we have an agenda, and we're going to get through the whole agenda, and that is they're going to be welcoming from community groups and myself. Safeway will make a 15-minute presentation so everybody has the same information. Pete Bowman from the city staff will make a 5-minute presentation about what is the rules around for the city. And then we will have organized group comments. That's right, those are the 3 groups, excuse me. And then we will all give away these sign-in sheets unless you tell us we can share your name.
Our neighborhood backs up to Safeway, and we will be taking the brunt of a lot of the traffic that this project is going to generate. And also the people who live in Berkeley that are going to back this project, as well as those on Claremont Avenue, are very concerned about what is happening here and what is being proposed. The Board of Directors of CINA has not taken a stand on this project yet because we haven't seen it up until tonight. But in what I've seen of it, it is just too large. It's going to overpower the neighborhood. It's going to change how College Avenue is and how you know it. As you know, College Avenue now is gridlocked basically from Claremont Avenue to Alcatraz Avenue. It's just going to get worse if this project commences the way it is now.
RCPC. And RCPC is the community organization representing the Rockridge area. And we represent the community in front of the city and in front of other organizations. Like CINA, we have not taken a position on this project yet. Part of the reason why we're here tonight is we want to hear from you folks about what you think. I believe we have a number of members of our board of directors. If the people who are members of our board of directors could stand. So I don't know if we have, how many we have here. Thank you. And we also have some people from our land use committee, if those members could stand. Great, thank you. So I will be giving a short presentation after the Safeway and the city's presentation to talk a little bit about what we do and how we were going to be approaching this project. Thank you.
And then there was space. Yeah, that's good. We're gonna stand in front of you. Maybe like over by that
Brunner for hosting this evening. I'm Elizabeth Jewell. I am with Aaron Jewell and Ellis. We are.
Turn on the mic.
My name is Elizabeth Jewell. I am a consultant to Safeway. My company is Aaron Jewell and Ellis Partners, and we have been hired to help Safeway talk to neighbors and organizations around this project and others. I'd like to introduce our team that's working on this project. Rena Rickles is our land use attorney. Many of you know Rena. David Blair, our architect with MCG Architecture, and Todd Paradis, manager of real estate. at Safeway. So Todd's going to do a presentation to give everybody a flavor of what we're proposing here, what we've got, and where we're going. We started this process about a year ago. The drawing has changed dramatically. Many of you were probably at a meeting a year ago, and you made suggestions. We listened and incorporated some of them into a brand new design. And this is the beginning, folks. We have a long way to go before we decide on what's going to look like. And I mean we. This is very much a group process. And I'm so pleased to see all of you here tonight. So let's turn it over to Todd, and we'll do our presentation and get going.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for coming, like Elizabeth said, and I must say this probably is one of the largest rooms I've ever had to stand in front of. So I don't know if I like that or not, but it is what it is. But thank you. I know everybody here could be doing something a lot probably more enjoyable than looking at a Safeway store, but I'm really happy you came. And I want to go through the plan, and Elizabeth touched on it. This is, you're probably used to seeing a lot of projects that have gone well down the line through planning by the time it ever gets out into the open public. And we made a decision early on that we didn't want to do that with this project because we wanted to do it right, and we wanted to make sure that we could capture what everybody had to say and roll it into the plans that we're going to show you tonight. And actually, we've been at this for more than a year. It's been a year and a half, and we've scrapped several plans along the way. If I had a plan from where we started, you'd be very surprised how different it is from this plan. In fact, we had a plan in January that had rooftop parking, had an exit onto College and all these other things, and we got a lot of input that was not the right direction. We scrapped those plans and said, let's take a look at this from scratch, from a brand new, fresh set of eyes. And we've come up with a plan that is, in our opinion, something that if someone from the city told me a year ago they were going to make me do this plan, I would pass out and probably never wake up because we've never done a plan like this before. And we're advancing similar plans in other cities right now because it turns out that it's sort of the new urbanism. It's the new way that if you're in a city and you're going to maximize a piece of property and use it to its highest and best use, that you really want to be more dense. And it's a struggle, I realize, for a lot of people. They're going to talk about the size tonight. And but that's sort of our thinking on how we got to this larger plan. It's up in the air. The store is not at street level. I'll go through why we got to that, because it was at street level with the rooftop plan. In that rooftop plan, we had discussions around the zoning of the property and the intent of the zoning and what C31 meant. And in that discussion, there was actually a little bit of confusion. And there was, well, if Safeway had multiple doors into the store, into the floral, into other departments, would that satisfy the intent of the C31 zoning? Because of that discussion and sort of the uncertainty, as well as the, well, what about small shop spaces? What can you do there? Is how we came up with, well, the only way we can really pull this off is to put the store up in a podium. So I would say I'm going to say that I've seen no other store like this. I've heard there might be one similar somewhere on the East Coast that I've never seen. But we have urban projects, don't get me wrong. They're just not this. This is much different, where we can have we want to have the shops in the bottom. And keep in mind, when you're thinking about big, there's going to be a lot of discussion about this, but some of what we're going to be talking about, I think, is how do we feel when you're walking up the street? Can you mirror the other side of the street, which they've done such a wonderful job with the perpendicular signage and the outdoor seating and the change in shops as you go. And maybe this project down the line looks a lot different than it does today, and it gets enhanced. And the things you like get focused on and made better. So I always ask that when we love the input process, because that input process means that at the end of the day, hopefully everybody comes to the store and says, I had a piece to do with this, and it's a wonderful project. So constructive criticism is always welcome. Sometimes it's, sometimes people want to vent the first time, but anything we can walk out of here with and really go back and explore is very helpful for us. And so we've gotten already about 50 comments through our website. We certainly appreciate that. In case people don't know, we have a website for this project. It's Safeway on college.com. We plan to keep that website fresh at all times so that anything that changes as we go, and we have our group meetings time and time again, and the plans change, they'll get posted on that in very short order, so no one feels like there's a set of plans out there and yet they haven't seen them. Because we really want people to be in the know for the 2 years that it's going to take to go through any planning process, and then to the plan check and everything else. I'll go through the timelines with you guys, so that people are getting the most up-to-date information at all given time. So with that said, I want to go through and kind of give you a few facts about the existing store. And right now, we have our store that sits behind the gas station. The store is just under 25,000 square feet. The gas station is on the corner. I estimated about 2,000 square feet for that building. They have sort of an add-on shop space there too that I took into that calculation, and they have dispensers on the site. 106 parking stalls. Building height in the center, I took the center. We have the store from behind, and then we have the 76 in the corner. I'm sure everybody's aware of it. It faces the 76 right now, and I'm sure people will agree, because I've received several comments on the website so far, that the problem with the existing layout is it doesn't address the street, and that's where we went with this project, is how do we address the street? Because most of our stores have parking lots in front of them. This one will be unique. It'll have a parking lot underneath it. You see it. Basically, the aerial and site plan form. The existing departments. The store right now has many departments that are missing in it, and many departments that really make a Safeway a better place to shop. It misses things such as the bakery, a pharmacy, and really service meat with a butcher, and service seafood, and not just the prepackaged stuff that you can't order what you want in the quantity you want, in the cut you want, and get it cut the way you want it done. Going through real quick, so that looks like this for our deli, a couple of cases. Our produce, which it's stacked high, and there's a lot of apples, but it doesn't have everything. And one of the things that is really overwhelmingly a success in our stores is our organics offering, and it takes up a good portion of the center of the produce department today. The meat, like I said, packaged, no option for getting it weighed and measured to your liking. Small floral. And that's the existing store. So the new store, and by the way, we have a model of this. I have pictures of the model online, but it's a little challenging at times to take a photo of a model. So I have the photo over here for you guys to look at. I mean the model. So what you're going to see here is the new store. The new store proposed on the second story comes in right now at 59,000 square feet, and the exact same photo that I showed you earlier that had the 76 in it, and they dropped in, they superimposed, if you will, the store. And so what you're looking at is what is sort of the feel that we want to present from the corner, with Safeway being up on the second floor, with the deli on this side of the store, where people could order, warm food that's prepared on the spot. They could eat it on the spot. They could come outside onto the balcony and have tables out on the balcony to sit and eat their food. We're actually looking at now, we've already had some comments that this is nice. We think you should double its size, so we're looking now at making more outdoor space for more outdoor seats. And I think that kind of thing is going to come up again too, as well on the on the sidewalk, because you have a lot of small retail shops, and I'm assuming one number I should have put in here is that I'm assuming we'll have something around 7 to 8 retail spaces on the bottom, and my guess would be that's going to make sense for other food uses, and so we're going to want to take a really close, hard look at the sidewalk plan again, make sure that we leave enough space for landscaping and more tables and sit-down areas and bike racks and those things that cater to walking. I put this on here just because I wanted people to be able to see what it looks like if there was no landscaping. The reality is that we would imagine the whole street would be lined with trees. So in reality, over time, as those trees mature, less and less of the building is really. You don't end up seeing this, but I wanted you to see it from an architectural standpoint at this point. People look at this, and they say, this is the thing that I realize they look at and they say, well, this looks too big. And I'll tell you the reason I put it on here is you'll never see it from this angle. It's because all you have is the ability to cross the street, so you'll never be able to take in the frontage that this store has. It's not a store like Rockridge where you have a parking lot in front of it, so you're only going to see it from across the street. So what you're going to really be seeing is more of the original photo, because you're going to really see it from the sidewalk, more of from the store side of the street as you're walking it. So, but this is really meant to just show you what it looks like from the standpoint of here we have. You see a lot of grocery stores. No windows, very few windows, a lot of stucco, and that really doesn't reach down to the street. And what we've done here is we basically have what I'm going to say is probably 85% all glass out the store. So when people are buying their groceries and they're going through the check stands, they can see down to the street, and the people on the street can see up what's going on in the store. And the same thing with the small tenant shops along College as well. So that's really the reason I put it up there for that purpose. How that looks on plan is this becomes the lowest level. This becomes the retail space that you're walking past when you're on the street, and behind it, under the store. Picture this as the store being on top of all the parking. And so, much different than our original plan that had the parking on top of the roof. This is the store on top, and the reason why I think this plan answers or addresses our original concern is this plan allows our delivery trucks to come in on Claremont, back into the loading dock, which is actually inside the building, where the rolling doors would go down, so when the trucks are in there, they're not visible as they are today. And from the back, we can treat it so it looks just like the front of the building, for that matter, so that you can have all three sides look architecturally pleasing. We threw back here. I don't know how people feel about this, but we threw what we thought would make sense for a professional building of sorts, maybe a vet, maybe not so much retail, because really College is more the retail street, we think. We threw something back there because we figured it'd be nicer if we had a building for hardscape, for growing plants and other things, instead of having the parking lot solely visible.
So what does that mean? What did you throw there, Todd? I don't mean to be rude, but
we put a building. There was a building right there. It's shorter than me, so I guess you can get away with that. Okay, sorry about that. Yes, it doesn't get you down under the store. This driveway here is just for the 28 parking stalls back here, which we're planning to have be used as employee parking in the back. And this would be the entranceway here that the trucks would come in and back into this loading dock here, and the door right here would roll down, so you wouldn't see the truck when it was in the loading dock.
what's the building for?
Let's not, we have 2 more minutes.
Okay, so when we look, one of the things I want to just flip to the slides real quick on how we want the store to look on the inside when we're done. And what I'm going to come back with is information on how much more in the way of items the store really gets when we go to a larger size, because what we're getting for the most part is the space necessary to circulate all the aisles, and that's probably 50% of the increase in the store. If you flip through real quick, we're estimating that it's going to take 1.5 years to go through the planning approval process. We're estimating once that happens, a year to draw up a set of plans, submit them to the city, go back and forth, get them plan checked, until you get to the point where everyone's happy and a permit is available. A project of this magnitude, actually, it would be a little bit more than a year, but maybe just a few more months than a year to construct, because it takes time to form the lower level parking and so forth. And is that it? There was one more slide. Here you go. It's the existing numbers versus the numbers after with what you're seeing here today. And keep every project takes on a life as you go through it, and that's actually the exciting part. Sometimes you get a little frustrated, but it's the fun part too. So thank you.
Thank you, and thank everyone for being so polite. We're going to move the slide over. There's chairs up here. People who are standing, if you feel like sitting, come join us on the stage. Come join us on the stage. Next, Pete Bowman, who's the city planner, is going to go through the process of what the city process is for this project.
Their pre-app request for a meeting for us to discuss this project coming in. Just going to give a quick overview on the process moving forward. I made available a sheet which has the process outlined, as well as some relevant code requirements and provisions that are on the backside of that form.
Can we have people asking questions from the floor?
No. You just get propaganda from Safeway. You don't get answers.
So the first step would basically be Safeway coming and submitting their development application, which would probably include, which will include design review, a conditional use permit, and maybe other potential permits depending on the way the project looks after it actually comes into us. And along with that will also be an initial study for environmental review, which we'll take a look at. And then moving on from there, basically the first step would be that we review the initial study and make a determination as to whether or not the project is going to require an EIR or not. If an EIR is required, the first step would be a scoping session and a public comment period. And the scoping session would be a public hearing which is held before the Planning Commission, and everybody has an opportunity to voice their concerns over the project as it relates to potential environmental impacts. Based on comments received at the scoping session, the next step would be to begin to prepare a draft environmental impact report, in which case, once that is prepared and goes public, there will be another comment period and a public hearing in which comments on the draft EIR will be taken in and reviewed, and then that will sort of set up the table to go forward with preparing the final EIR, in which all the comments received will be addressed in that document. And then the final step of that would be moving towards the final EIR and the publishing of that. In addition to the EIR process, as part of the design review and the actual development application, there will also be a design review committee hearing to discuss the specific design-related elements of the project. And that will also go before the design review committee, which are 3 members of the Planning Commission. That will also be a public hearing in which people can attend and make their comments heard. And then beyond that, once the design review committee said, okay, these are our recommendations, time to move the project forward, this would be sort of towards the latter part of the EIR process. It would then move forward to the full Planning Commission hearing, which they would make a decision on the development application as well as certification of the EIR. And at the bottom of the first page, you'll see that my contact information is on there. So anyone who wants to be in the loop of receiving notice of the specific hearings, please feel free to send me an email. It doesn't have to be long. All it has to say is just, I would like to be in the loop. I've already got an ongoing list of people who have already been sending an email. So even if I don't directly respond to each and every one, because as I can see from the turnout tonight, there's probably going to be quite a number of them, but you will be put into a log and receive notice of any public hearings.
You get notified of the formal process for the city, which is generally right before a planning commission or before a city council meeting. If you put your name on our list, you'll get notified of any future meetings. So there's going to be two different types of meetings. So I just want to make it clear the different. Where's that?
I want to just outline what our role in this process is. As I indicated, RCPC represents the Rockridge community before the city, and so we will often, and in this case I would expect, we will take a position on this project, and that position may be that we oppose the project, it may be that we do not oppose with conditions, or it may be that we do not oppose the project. We generally do not take positions in support of a project. And I know there are several people who I've heard rumors floating around that I've already said that RCPC supports this project based on something in the newspaper article in the Chronicle. Well, I have copies of the newspaper article in the Chronicle that would appear, and you can read through it if you want. We do not take a position. In fact, I specifically said that we reserve judgment on this project, and we reserve judgment primarily because we want to hear from folks at this meeting and other meetings that are coming on before we take any position on this. So RCPC right now does not have a position on this project.
We have 5 minutes, so don't apologize.
I'm Nancy, and that's it.
I'm Susan Shawl. On June 21st of last year, I attended a public meeting at which Safeway sought extensive community input on the design of the new store. At that meeting, Mr. Paradis said that the new design would complement the style and pedestrian feel of College Avenue. The July issue of the Rockridge News reported that people at that meeting said that new amenities like a bakery, a pharmacy, extended produce section should not compete with the independent businesses on the other side of College Avenue. Please, we don't have time. We have a lot to say. Traffic and architecture were further concerns. Safeway's February 2008 pre-application plans showed a one-story, 55,000 square foot store with a rooftop deck, which is 2 times bigger than the current store. And then at a March 18th meeting that Nancy and I organized, there was overwhelming concern that the impact of this massive size on the neighborhood is just too much. On April 28th, we learned that Safeway had fired their local architect, who was recognized for sensitivity to the community, and hired a large architectural firm specializing in massive developments, including humongous suburban shopping malls. In response to the neighbors' concerns, Safeway is now proposing a 75,000 square foot development, 59,000 foot store, 16,000 square foot leasable retail. This is 3 times the current size. Safeway is not listening to the neighborhood. Safeway has a driveway entering and exiting on College. The neighborhood...
The refrain. No.
Safeway is not listening to the neighborhood. The neighborhood has repeatedly said that Safeway's plans are too big. Safeway is not listening to the neighborhood. The community has repeatedly said we do not want to jeopardize our local independent merchants. The store and national chain store type tenants threaten this. Safeway is not listening to the neighborhood. College Avenue has been recognized as a hip, sophisticated part of Oakland by the New York Times. Rockridge is a bright spot in Oakland for the economic vitality that it generates. Our community's concerns with the size of the development has been expressed in the Berkeley Daily Planet, the Mont Clarion, the Oakland Tribune, the San Francisco Chronicle, plus numerous blogs. Safeway's website for this location has way over 4,000 hits as of this afternoon. What else do you need to say? What else do we need to say, Safeway, for you to hear us? Safeway has already implemented a reduced size lifestyle approach with a remodel of the Grand Avenue Safeway and the Fruitvale Avenue store in the Diamond District. Both of these stores are less than 30,000 square feet. Safeway also has built a 15,000 square foot store in Long Beach called the Market by Vaughn's. The Grand Avenue satellite store is 1.4 miles from Broadway and Pleasant Valley. The College Avenue location is even closer, at 1.1 miles from Broadway and Pleasant Valley. We want our satellite store on College to remain the size that it is. The Safeway at South Shore in Alameda is 64,000 square feet. It has the same width, 6-foot wide aisles that we have on College Avenue. The circulation spaces at the rear of all those rows is a little larger than ours by 1 foot. The big service meat counter they have there is only 8 feet long, and their fish counter is only 12 feet long. So these amenities that Safeway is touting do not need to be larger in order, need to increase our store to the extent that they're saying. The solution is to remodel the store to a maximum of 25,000 square feet, with the intent that this location is a satellite of the remodel of the mega store at Broadway and Pleasant Valley, and a remodel that is appropriately designed to protect the economic values and ambience of the adjacent neighborhoods. In the overall scheme of things, Safeway, with over 1,700 retail stores, doesn't have much to lose. We have everything to lose.